The Ohio History Connection has been working for years with our partners at Hopewell Culture National Historical Park to have the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks inscribed on the World Heritage List. The Ohio History Connection has 3 sites, the Great Circle and the Octagon earthworks here in Newark, as well as the Fort Ancient earthworks in Warren County. Hopewell Culture National Historical Park has 5 more sites. We think together these 8 sites that make up the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks tell a complete story. It's not just one site here and one site there. This was a sprawling culture that has connections all over Eastern North America.
The way World Heritage works is it's an international treaty, so there's a prescribed process. And each country keeps a tentative list of sites that could be on the World Heritage List in the future. So the first step is actually to get on the tentative list for your country. And this nomination, these 8 sites, were added to the United States tentative list in 2008. Then in 2018, the federal government officially authorized us to prepare the nomination. So we have submitted it at the end of 2021 to the federal government, and they submitted it to UNESCO in Paris. The next steps are we find out whether it's recommended to be inscribed. So inscribed meaning added to the World Heritage List. Then in the summer of 2023, we would hope to be in front of the World Heritage Committee, the 21 countries that make up that committee, and have a vote on whether to inscribe this nomination or not.
I think it's really important to have the descendants of the individuals that actually constructed these earthworks able to talk about what they mean, their significance to the tribes today, and what they would have been used for historically for ceremonial purposes to help educate the broader public.
I had taught at a community college in Missouri for 38.5 years, and at that community college, one of my duties was to increase awareness regarding arts and the humanities. I was traveling to places like the Acropolis and to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and to pyramids in Egypt, the Great Wall of China, and only later did I realize these were World Heritage Sites. My tribe is located in Oklahoma, and we are the Eastern Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. And so for 3 years, in studying the Shawnees, obviously I had studied a great deal about the state of Ohio and had read everything and all the published materials I could. I had come here to visit. I had talked with people, interviewed people, but never once had I seen any mention of Newark earthworks. The only mound that has ever been mentioned at that time was Serpent Mound. Well, at that time, Newark Earthworks was open only one day a year when Native Americans and others could go and actually walk around and view the earthworks. I was able to go to the wooden platform viewing area and climb up, and because of all of those places that I had seen that were World Heritage Sites, the minute that I looked out and saw what I saw, I knew that I was viewing either the equivalent or, in many cases, something even superior to places that are designated World Heritage Sites. I, within 3 minutes' time, experienced so many different emotions. I was just shocked and amazed and so pleased that they were in existence and that they had not been destroyed, because many mounds in Ohio have been destroyed.
The Hopewell ceremonial earthworks were built by what archaeologists call the Hopewell culture, ancient indigenous Americans that lived here between about AD 1 and 400. They were hunters, fishers, gatherers, and gardeners. They lived in small communities scattered all over here. They didn't live in cities. They don't seem to have had any kind of ruler, any kind of king or pharaoh that would have been able to order them to do this. It seems that these communities came together for probably hundreds of miles around and participated in building these earthworks and then later worshiping at them. These ancient indigenous Americans built the earthworks with very simple technology, pointed sticks, clamshell hose, and baskets. But in spite of that seeming simplicity, the knowledge that's encoded in these earthworks is anything but simple.
Science, mathematics, architecture, geometry, all types of information that it's impossible that they could not have been most intelligent people.
The circumference of the Great Circle here is equal to the perimeter of the square earthwork that it was attached to. The area of the square that the Great Circle was attached to is equal to the area of the observatory circle at the octagon earthworks. Also, the circle and octagon encodes in its architecture alignments to all of the key alignments that define the lunar cycle of rising and setting that takes 18.6 years to complete. So just like the sun, with the northernmost rise of the sun being the summer solstice and the southernmost rise being the winter solstice, at least in the northern hemisphere, the moon has a northernmost rise and a southernmost rise, but every month. And that angle changes from month to month over this period of 18.6 years. So these ancient indigenous Americans must have been very careful sky watchers, recording those movements and encoding them into their architecture, I think because they felt that by linking the earthworks to the rhythms of the cosmos, they were making what happened here even more sacred.
I can't believe that a person can come here to a place like this and not feel a kinship with nature, a kinship with the spirit, and would hope that they would have a reverence for this place. They are entering the realm of Native American spirituality.
Once they're inscribed, there'll probably be an influx of people from all over the world that'll come. And I think there's going to be a lot of infrastructure improvements needed, whether it's roads or whether it's hotels, places to stay, but then there's also the spillovers of what are people going to do when they're not at the sites? What else could they see? Because there's a lot of great things happening around Ohio.
It will increase awareness of Ohio for those people who are World Heritage travelers. There really are people who check the boxes of the list, and that's how they plan their vacations.
This is just the first step of the journey. There's an aspect of it being contagious, that now it's like the flame has been lit and that others are aware of other things in their communities. Maybe they don't have mounds in their communities, but they have other things that had to do with Native Americans, and they are recognizing that and beginning to become active in promoting that. Ohio will always be a special place in my heart. We've been in Oklahoma so long that, yes, Oklahoma is home, but Ohio is our homeland and will always have a special place. And so I can get very emotional and teary-eyed about this and just can't wait to step over that finish line.